Welcome in. It's Wednesday. And that means we have another top five. It means we have a top five every day. I don't know why I phrased it like that. I'm sorry. I got hit in the head. Top five interesting college basketball hires, of course, brought to you by Ticket Club. Click the link in the description. Forget the fees, ticketclub.com. So let's start with my alma mater and Florida State. They hired Loucks, an alum, was a point guard at Florida State under Leonard Hamilton years and years ago, and has been an NBA assistant. He was with the Sacramento Kings and really highly thought of NBA assistant there, a good basketball mind. And when you see the trend, I'll call it the Kevin Young trend, that BYU started hiring NBA assistants to be college head coaches, it's because they know how to deal with diva basketball players who are looking for money. That's going to be a big thing. Florida State's got a ton of money pointing towards improving the disastrous football season of 2024 right now. Most of their NIL dollars will be pointing in that direction. But an alum like Loucks, can he come in, improve the recruiting to a level that Leonard Hamilton had it? He was going along well, and the last 4 years just have not been, up to speed. Things have changed, and it was time for Leonard Hamilton to retire. It's time for a new voice. Can that new voice get Tallahassee enthusiastic about basketball? Can he bring in good players? Can they have the NIL and the situation to make them competitive in what is a wide open ACC after this year? It is pretty wide open. There is a chance to move up the ranks right now, and Loucks, an interesting choice, but no college head coaching experience, and we don't really know how he is as a recruiter, so what can I tell you about if this is a great hire or not? To be determined, but it's interesting, to say the least. Number 4, Ryan Odom at UVA. Didn't make my top 5 hires, but I think it's really interesting because of the style of basketball that VCU plays compared to the style of basketball that Virginia's been playing forever. In case you're unfamiliar with Tony Bennett's style of basketball, it is mostly defense. It is like shooting is like not even secondary, it's like tertiary in Tony Bennett's style of basketball. He retired earlier this year, left it to an assistant. Virginia obviously did not have a good year, and moved on and hired Ryan Odom from VCU. So he's just down the road, and again, he said good to be home at Virginia. He's thrilled to be there, but a different system and something that Cavalier fans aren't used to seeing. Their style had maybe become a little bit antiquated. It was antiquated even when they won the national championship with it. They just had the right guys to run it and the right situation, the right matchups throughout the tournament. But this is a team that, in 2019 won the NCAA title. That was not that long ago, so there's a fervor there for basketball, and can you capture it? Ryan Odom, an interesting hire in a different style. Curious to see how he does there. Number 3, Mike Bibby at Sacramento State. Look, Sacramento State's going all out when it comes to attention-grabbing names. They decided on, which is a great hire, Brendan Marion as their football coach, but they did call up certain people like Robert Griffin III, engage his interest, and Michael Vick, engage his interest. In fact, RG3 told us on this very show a couple weeks ago that he had been offered that job but did not take it, and they went to Brendan Marion, which is a great choice. And so football-wise, they're trying to make a splash. They want to get some good attention. Well, they just went and got one of the more popular point guards of the last 20 years in the NBA, and Mike Bibby, a guy who comes from coaching, a guy who is a very smart player on the floor, and who's very recognizable, especially within the city of Sacramento, since he spent such a large chunk of his career with the Kings. This one's super interesting to me. I think Mike Bibby will probably be a great coach. But again, he's coaching the Big Three. There's been some other things, but I am super interested to see how Mike Bibby does at Sacramento State. Number 2. Josh Pastner at UNLV. He was at Memphis. He was at Georgia Tech. Very successful, and then successful, but it just kind of maybe hit some bumps in the roads at both places, and has been doing TV and doing a great job of it, by the way, the last couple of years. He was on Zach Gelb's show yesterday and talking about how he feels he can coach in this era and get a budget and do those things, and he's excited to do it. An hour later, he was announced as the UNLV head coach. His agent was working on that while that was going on. UNLV, same thing. They went and got an accomplished coach who'd been on TV for a couple years for football in Dan Mullen, and now they do the same thing with Josh Pastner, bringing him into Las Vegas. Very interesting to see how Josh Pastner does. Modern era, I think he runs the pace really, really well. And the most interesting hire to me, Darian DeVries at Indiana. He's got a really solid coaching record. Was great at Drake, then came to West Virginia, didn't make the tournament, but should have. Did it without his son, the best player on the team all year long. They should have made the tournament. Again, that's not a surprise here, but Indiana is at a point where it's been a very, very long time since they're the level of relevance that their fans understand and want. They're so far away from that. I think Darian DeVries, if you want to compare it to a football hire and a fan base, this is much like Matt Rule in Nebraska. You've brought in a guy who needs to rebuild your culture and your program from the ground up. This is not a reboot or a restart. This is a rebuild. That's what you have to look at it. Bobby Knight is long gone. The era of Indiana being one of the talked about teams, yes, you're a basketball blue blood, and basketball is the most popular sport in your state, but your flagship university has been up and down in a way that is not befitting of a blue blood. And you're kind of in the emeritus category right now. Much like Nebraska in football, it's been a long time since they have been dominant and relevant on the level that their fans expect and enjoy. Matt Rule's been brought in to fix that and bring them back to it. Darian DeVries, similar situation in Indiana. Indiana fans, much like Nebraska fans have had to let go of the past and look ahead as opposed to looking back, because it's been a long time. There's a team in the pros that could do this too, and I'm talking in the NFL. That's the Dallas Cowboys, where they're always looking back and not necessarily looking ahead. Indiana fans, look ahead. As long as you do that with Darian DeVries, he will win. But if you keep holding him to a standard that you haven't reached in a long time, no matter who the coach has been, he's going to fail. Just like all the other coaches between Bobby Knight and Darian DeVries have. So hold him to a reasonable standard, and he will build, and he will do well there. And he knows you care. He knows you love it. But you got to, admit that 1987 was a very, very long time ago. I was 7. I was adorable, by the way, as a 7-year-old. Just wanted you to know that. A little fun fact as we end the show. Smokey, don't let me talk about my 7th grade adorableness any longer.